All right, so if you're getting into Unit ACMBEH406, think of this as your roadmap. We're going to break down the 5 absolute core principles that make the difference between a pretty good trainer and one who is truly professional and indispensable. Mastering these isn't just about ticking a box for a unit. It's about building a real career where you can walk into any group setting with confidence. Okay, let's get into it. I want you to just picture it for a second. You're in a room, there are 6 dogs, 6 owners. One dog will not stop barking, another is hiding under a chair, and a third is just doing frantic circles on its leash. It feels like pure chaos, right? So, what is it? What's the difference between a trainer who just kind of gets through that and a trainer who actually turns that chaos into a calm, productive learning space? Well, here's the secret. It's not some magic trick you pull out of a hat in the middle of the class. The key to commanding that chaos, to actually creating a space where everyone, animals and humans, can learn, it's all built on the prep work and the deep knowledge you bring with you before you even open the door. And that foundation, it begins right here, with the single most important skill you will ever have, being able to fluently, and I mean fluently, read the animals that are right in front of you. This isn't just a nice-to-have skill. It's the bedrock of every single professional decision you're going to make. And that brings us right to our very first pillar, having a deep practical understanding of animal behavior and learning theory. So what does this actually look like on the floor? Well, it means you're not just seeing a bad dog that's barking. You're seeing an animal showing clear stress signals. Maybe it's lip licking or yawning or has a really stiff posture. And you know that tells you it's completely overstimulated. You understand why it's barking. You know when to use operant conditioning to teach a new cue versus when you need classical conditioning to change how it feels about the room. This knowledge, it turns you from just a dog trainer into a translator and a genuine problem solver. And that's exactly why this is so critical. A group class is dynamic. Things can change in a split second. This knowledge isn't some academic thing you memorize. It's your real-time diagnostic tool. It lets you spot a problem brewing before it boils over, and that gives you the power to step in effectively and keep everyone safe and on track. Okay. So once you can read the animals, you need a solid framework for how you're going to respond. This next pillar isn't about a rigid set of rules you have to memorize. Think of it more like a professional compass. It's something that guides every single choice you make in that training room. And this is Principle 2. You've got to apply modern ethical training guidelines consistently, and you've got to be transparent about it. Now, at the very heart of modern ethical training is an acronym you're going to see everywhere. LIMA. It stands for Least Intrusive, Minimally Aversive. Honestly, it's more than just a guideline. It's like a professional pledge. It just means you always start with the kindest, most positive method that has a real shot at working. It's all about solving problems, not just shutting down behaviors. LIMA is put into practice using this model, the hierarchy of procedures. And what's so telling here is the order. See, before you even think about training a behavior, you first have to look at the animal's health and its environment. Is it in pain? Is the room too loud? Only after you've checked that stuff do you move down the list. The more intrusive methods are way down at the bottom for a very good reason. They are a last resort, never a starting point. This is your decision-making blueprint. And here's the thing you have to remember. Your ethics have a ripple effect. Every single time you show an owner a technique, you're teaching them. So by modeling a humane, LIMA-based approach, you're not just training one animal for an hour, you're literally shaping how that owner is going to interact with their pet for the rest of its life. That's a huge responsibility. Okay, so you've got your foundation of knowledge, you've got your ethical compass. Now we're going to move into the work that happens long before a single client even walks through the door. This is where you actually architect success, where you build the blueprint for your classes. Which brings us to our third principle, the ability to develop a complete professional training program from scratch. Look, a professional trainer does not just wing it. This unit requires you to actually document a full program, to sequence your lesson plan so that week 2 logically builds on week 1, to find a safe venue, and even do a formal risk assessment. Why? Because this level of detailed preparation is what guarantees a consistent, safe, and valuable class for your clients. It's what turns a casual get-together into a professional service they'll pay for. And building on that program design brings us straight to Principle 4, which is all about the practical business side of actually getting people and their animals into that well-planned class. Being a great trainer also means you have to be a pretty competent administrator. You've got to manage your pricing, your promotions, and your communication.
But I really want you to focus on those last 2 points. Gathering an animal's history and then assessing if they're even suitable for a group class, that isn't just paperwork. It is your single most important safety protocol.
And this quote just drives that point home perfectly. That 10-minute phone call you have where you identify a dog with severe anxiety before it gets thrown into a group setting, that is more critical than almost anything you will do in the class itself. Pre-screening is the mechanism that prevents bites, prevents trauma, and creates a space where everyone can actually feel safe enough to learn. It is not optional. So we've laid the foundation, we've set our ethics, we've done all the prep work. Now, we finally get to step into the training room. But being a true professional means the job isn't over when the last client leaves. In fact, some of the most important work is just about to begin. And that leads us to our fifth and final pillar. This is all about your performance in the moment and your professional reflection after the fact.
So what's really interesting here is the 2-part focus on doing and then reflecting. While you're in the class, you're a master multitasker, right? You're a clear communicator, you're a vigilant safety monitor, you're an adaptive coach. Your plan might say group stay, but you see 2 dogs getting tense. A pro pivots on the spot and switches to individual exercises. But then, after the class, you have to step back, get feedback, and critically review your own program. That is the cycle of continuous improvement.
And this is a huge insight for your assessment. You're not just being evaluated on how well you can run a single class. You're being assessed on your ability to engage in this entire professional cycle. Proving that you can learn from your experience and formally improve your own program, that is what elevates you from someone who just runs a class to a true professional. So there you have it, the 5 pillars. Read the animal, act with integrity, prepare with purpose, manage for safety, and commit to constantly getting better. Together, they form the foundation not just for this unit, but for a successful, respected career. The only question left is, what are you going to build on it?